Hi, guys. Welcome to It Was Never Personal with Yummy Wilfred. It's me, your host, Yummy Wilfred. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was never personal. It has always been about love, laughter, role playing, dance, colors, balance, authenticity, awareness, not taking the ego too seriously, not taking life too seriously. It is all about realizing that this is a dream, an illusion that we get to co create with a power which is higher than us. Therefore, it was never personal. Tune in to get inspired, motivated, and mostly importantly, find ways to love yourself and do so with laughter and joy because it's not easy. But remember, it was never personal. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you. If you like what you get, like, subscribe, share, and comment on the comment section. Thank you so much. Today, I just wanted to start with some quote that I came up with 2 years earlier. I wrote this quote when I was watching The Crown, yes, and it goes like this. Can I say that change is one thing that we fear? The letdown of our tradition, culture, morality, and possibly our own character change. So let me break it down for you. Can I say that change is one thing that we fear? So back then, when I really actually wrote this thing 2 years ago, I was not really so deep into it. Was when I'm still really beginning. I'm beginning to really get onto my spiritual and mental health development, so I really didn't know much lot. I just felt it. I could really tell whenever I'm watching films and series on TV. I really go philosophical, as my friend Paul will say. So when I was really watching it, there was an instance where this character has to actually change, and then they really feared it. But I was able to really read in too deep and just say, oh, actually, this is what is happening. So now let me break down the code, which is about change. So can I say that change is one thing that we fear, but ultimately it is not us that we actually fear the change. The fear comes from this idea that we have that defines, or that we define ourselves as, the ego, like I always say, the mind made self, or the false made self, the false mind made self. That idea of you as this, you as this, you as this, yes. So that is why the fear for change arises or exists, is because we have identified ourselves as this one thing. We have boxed ourselves so much that even if we have to change something, and it's always like, oh, this is the legacy of our thing, this is how we do it, this is our norm. How can you ask me, as a lady, to actually enter the traditional court with pants on? It's like, that is our tradition. I cannot do that. I'm not going to do that because you don't want to actually let down, or you don't want to actually shed off the tradition aspect of it. And then the same thing goes to culture. This is how we've been doing it. If I get married, my my um my uncles have to be involved. I cannot really participate in two females getting married, two males getting married, whether they love each other or not. That is not just my culture. And then you do not do it because it is all in your culture. How can you expect me to actually now just look at someone who is being so abusive, doing this stuff which is so crazy, and you expect me to not judge them and not tell them that they are wrong? I mean, there's right and wrong. So you're just telling me to ignore the wrong and just be that awareness and just be like non-judgmental and accept that this is all happening for a reason. I cannot do that because guess what? We have more morality. So I'm not going to sit here and let down the morality. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to tell them what it is. You come here and you try and diminish me. I'm going to diminish you too because that is what you just did. You get what you just give out. So that is why change is very, 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 it's very difficult because we fear to really let down those ideas we have, the tradition, the culture, the morality, and possibly our own character, the character of, this is me. I always wake up at 9 9 a.m. and you expect me to wake up at 6 a.m. to do what? Oh wow, to make food? I don't make food. She always makes food. Oh, this is me. This is how I talk. How can you expect me to talk another way? This is how I walk. I mean, I'm not going to change that for you. And then in that incident, it's like somebody's actually telling you, I'm not going to change that for you. But it's like, no, 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 no. I'm not going to change because I have. It's actually not them, but that their ego actually just talking. And that is what the coach just says. Change is very, very difficult, because it's something which our ego, which our idea, this idea of ourselves as these entities, these separate entities have identified with. And to really let go of that is very, very hurtful. That was the quote that I had for you today, guys, of change. Can I say that change is the one thing that we fear, the let down of our tradition, culture, morality, and possibly our own character? Change. Yeah, change, literally. It was never personal. Thank you so much. So, in today's episode, we'll be talking about um the oneness of all things in life and tribe. So without further ado, let me start. We are one. So we are one is a spiritual terminology which actually, oh my god, okay, which actually means that we are going back to the identity, or let me say this idea that we have of ourselves. We are going back to the ego. So um so ideally, or normally, yes, normally, conventionally, we all think that we are separate. We think there is you, somebody sitting there, sitting somewhere, or standing or whatever, but listening to the podcast. And there's me, Wilfred, over here, who's doing the podcast. And then there is someone who's a doctor. There's your mom, there's your father, there's your sister, and then there is you. You get it? So there is and there's separation. So then, because we have these concepts that we use to actually label each other, in order to actually just to get life going on a practical level very smoothly. I mean, you wouldn't want to wake up and then maybe you want to talk to someone, you want to call someone, and then you are still mumbling saying, hey, the other me. Who's the other me? Maybe you want to talk to your mom, you would say mom. If you want to talk to your dad, you'll say dad. If you want to talk to your sister, you'll say sister. If you want to talk to your boyfriend, boyfriend. If you will call them by their name. If you enter a restaurant, hey waitress. If you're at the hospital, hey doctor, hey nurse. So we use these concepts, these labels to actually get along on a practical level. But then we have taken them so seriously, so personal, that we now believe that we are actually separate. So there's the doctor, there's your sister, there's your mother, there's your father, and then there is you, and then there is me over here. But in actual sense, in truth, ultimately there's only one of us here. And I don't know, I've always been trying to really um think of how I can actually let people understand this, because I don't think they really actually understand it, because, and this is the thing, you cannot actually understand it. You have to know it. You can feel it. You have to, and we all know these things. You just have to really feel it. You can feel it. If you try and understand it, it means that you're trying to really think and use your mind, conceptualization, to really get this truth through, and actually say, oh, I understand what you're talking about. But when we actually, a lot of times, when we try and make such things or spiritual things to become to be understood, and then we use concepts that we have, or words that we use on normal basis, it then becomes, also it becomes, the real meaning is never really got. So what I'm saying is that, even though I'm going to really use another idea which we use on a normal circumstance, to really actually help you, help you to really realize that there's actually one of us here. I'm here talking and you are there listening, and then it's like, oh, we are separate, but in actual sense, we are one. So, and this is the thing. Whenever I talk onto this podcast, whenever I say out, whenever I'm actually interacting with people, I know that I'm actually talking to myself. Whatever I give out on this podcast, I'm also saying out it to myself, because you and me are one. But to help you understand, so at school, under biology or science, we really learn that, okay, we come from one person. Like, no, why did I say one person? We come from a mother and a father, right? And then there's two beings. These two beings come together, produce a zygote, and then it becomes a new human being. So then ultimately, doesn't it mean that our real parents, if you're a Christian, then the real parents are Adam and Eve. We are all sons and daughters of Adam and Eve. Yes, listen, I'm not trying to really, this is just an example. Don't try and go, okay, but then no, 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 no. I'm just trying to really break it down and make it simple, so don't try and resist it. So if it means that Adam and Eve were the first peoples, then it means we all originate from them. And then where did these two originate from? Oh, okay, something happened. Okay, and then a man appeared, and then a woman appeared. But then these two people came from somewhere, from the voice of God. I mean, like I always say, we are an extension of the power that created the entire universe. And that power, some people call God, some people call Allah, that some people call Buddha, or whatever you want to call it. I don't, I call it God, but if I'm not really taking it too personal, it's not too deep. I'm not even really onto it too deep like that. Like, oh, who's God? Where is he? I don't even label God as a he, she, or whatever. If anything, it's it, because I know there's that power. There's there. It's a force. If anything, I'll say it's love. So we are an extension of the power that created the entire universe. We are an extension of the power of love. So if we are an extension of the power of love, then we can all say that we come from one source. Coming from one source, which is that power, then we can all say that because we come from one source, we are one thing. But then we come here, and then we get to really experience life in different personalities, in different personas, in different egos, in different forms. And then there's a form which is called Wilfred, which is here me, and then there's um another form or personality which is you over there listening. But in real essence, we are all an extension from one source. We extend from one source. Another analogy that I can actually use, or a metaphor that I actually like to use, is, okay, so there's the sun. We all know the sun, right? And we all have light rays. There are light rays which extend from the sun. So there are millions, billions, trillions, zillions, godzillions rays, right? So multiple that it's like each ray is actually one. Like, okay, maybe I'm right here in Tonota and I'm being hit by a ray of light, and actually maybe you are in Gaborone, or you wherever you are, maybe you are in Serue, or maybe you are in Kanye, or maybe you are in Mogoditani, and there's another ray of sun, which is actually a ray of sunlight, which is actually hitting on you. And then, practically it's like, Wilfred is being hit by a different type of ray, and you are being hit by a different type of ray. But let me tell, let's break it down. Essentially, we are hit by one ray of sunlight. Why? Because all of this sunlight races, they all originate from one source, which is one sun. There's only one sun in our galaxy. So that is what actually I am just saying over here. There's only one of us here. There's only one of us. There's no you, there's no me, but there's only one of us. We are one thing. It was never personal. It was never personal. So the reason why I'm actually talking about this is because if we really looking, whenever I okay, if we really look at what is happening over here, the negativity, the conflicts, the wars, the hate, the genocide, the homophobia, uh, the sexist people, the misogynistic behavior, all these things which are negative and fear based, they're all happening because we think we are separate. We think there's you and then there's me. So then it feels so perfect for someone to actually attack another person, for one nation to fight another nation, for one group of people to bring down another group of people, and for someone who's actually on the outside to side with one of the groups, and say, what, I'm going for these groups because guess what, morality. I'm not going for that group because guess what, morality again. We are willing to actually fight because we think we are separate, but in actual sense we are one. If I fight you, I'm actually fighting myself, but my ego or my mind will actually make me think that because I'm hurting you, there's no way in which I'm hurting myself. And actually, me hurting you is actually a fine thing because you hurt me. And then it's like, oh, it was a draw. It was an eye for an eye. The match, the match is level. The thing is, the bar is level. It's fairness. But we are one thing. We are actually one thing. So, with that said, guys, be kind. Being kind is number one. Is actually the first thing because, like, the word kindness or the word kind comes from, I think, it's a Greek or Latin word meaning kin, of kin, and of kin means, you know, kinship, like oneness, a family. It means that we are one. We belong together. You and I are actually one. So being kind is actually recognizing that that person and me, we belong together. We are one. We are not separate. They're my family. We are in this together. There's no separation. They say, whatever they do, it affects me, and whatever I do, it affects. Oh, whatever they do, it affects me and also them, and whatever I do to them will not only affect them, but it will also affect me. So if I do anything which is based or derived from a place of fear, any negative thing, if I'm willing to actually get into an argument with someone, it's actually not me hurting them, I'm actually hurting myself. And that person would only be able to participate or co-opt and actually react to my negativity with negativity or positivity. But they will only be able to react with positivity if they realize that we are one, if they realize that it was never personal, if they realize that, oh, actually, whatever that they're doing is derived from a place of fear and that's an illusion. It didn't even happen. We are from a place of love. We are an extension of the power of love, and I have to react from a place of love. So if somebody stabs me, I cannot stab them back, you know. So I have to actually now come from a place of love. And many times it means you have to either really go over through the negativity, or actually stay in silence and be that space of awareness and just realize that, oh, they're actually hurting me because they are hurt. And if anything, whatever that they did, whatever that they said to me was not meant for me. It was actually meant for them because we are one. It's like somebody who is in pain and then because they don't know how to actually feel this pain, not actually they're not really they don't know how to feel the pain, but they are not willing to really go through the pain, and then now they take the pain and project it outwards. It was never personal. Be kind and love yourself, because if you are kind to yourself, then you'll be kind to another person. Another thing that we can actually use to really reinforce um this idea of that we are one, which is actually the truth. It's not just like an ideal, it's actually the truth. It's the third law of in physics, the Newton's third law of motion. I think is of motion. I never really liked physics, but I'm still doing physics. So if I got it wrong, I don't know. But it's the third law of motion, which says that for every action, for every force which is given off, there is an equal and opposite force coming back. Yeah. So What it means is that whatever you give out is actually what you get back. Another way of saying it is the world is a reflection of you, you know. It's like saying, if you wake up in the morning and you say, I feel like this is going to be a bad day today. People are so, drr, drr," and then you get into a friendship and you're like, I think she's going to leave me. Oh, guess what, honey? They're going to leave you. That's just going to prove you right because that is what you brought out, you know? So whatever you give off is what you get. Again, like I was saying, if you hurt somebody, if you bring somebody down, if you steal from somebody, if you actually try and attack somebody and think that you are attacking them, oh, honey, no, 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 no. Really, there, your ego makes you feel like you attacked them, but in reality, you actually stabbed or attacked yourself because that same force is actually going to come back to you. Now, how do we actually overcome this? The first thing is always to forgive, to forgive. First of all, you have to forgive yourself. I have to forgive myself for all those moments where I actually took life personal. I took everything personal. I took everything seriously, where I actually participated or co opted and I reacted in a negative way. I have to forgive myself for that. And forgiving myself for that means that I have to be compassionate to myself. I have to love myself and say, you know what? I didn't know better then. That was the level of my consciousness at that time. And I'm willing to actually let it go and let it be. It happened in the past. Is it happening right now? No. So there's still no point. There's still no use of me actually carrying the baggage of the past because here, right now, in the present moment, that is not actually happening. So I have to forgive myself. And then number two is to actually forgive the other person because we are always going to fall back asleep and you know kind of forget who we are, that we are one thing. So then so that means that other people would hurt you and say negative things to you. They will not really actually interact with you in a loving manner, but it's your job, it's your responsibility to forgive them, but only if you forgave yourself, realizing that, oh, actually what they are doing is not personal. What they are doing shows that they need love. They have parts of their personality which needs healing. So I forgive them. I allow this to happen. I'm not going to be the judicator, the judge. I'm not going to use morality on them. I'm just going to just take my judgment, my morality aspect out of it and just look at it from a wider perspective, which is of the universe, which is non-judgmental, and just allow this to happen because it is happening for a reason. And the most important thing, or the one thing that can actually allow you as a person to actually look at a situation without judgment, even though it appears that this person is actually attacking you, is to actually just remember that, oh, it was never personal. Whatever that they are doing over here right now, it has nothing to do with me. They think they're hurting me, but they're hurting themselves. And if they're hurting themselves and you know it, you will feel compassion. You feel compassionate towards them. You become empathy. You feel empathy for them. You'd feel the love for them only because you have felt compassionate and empathy for yourself. You have loved yourself, so you will be able to really love somebody out there too. you know so then forgiving the other person becomes easy if you forgave yourself. Why we go back again? Because we are one thing. Forgiving yourself, you ultimately forgive another person. There's no other way around it. You cannot forgive another person and then after forgiving the other person, you go back to forgive yourself. No, honey. But normally that is how it actually works. Is like, okay, I'm going to have to really ask for forgiveness from this person, and after they forgive me, I'll be able to forgive myself. No, honey, that's just your ego. That's just your mind really trying to play tricks on you because you trying to ask for forgiveness from somebody else to actually forgive yourself, which means that you will not be able to love and forgive yourself unless somebody forgives you. That is actually what it means. And it's not true because you cannot give what you don't have. We are one over here. Forgiving yourself means that you already forgave the other person, and it becomes so easy to forgive the other person if you actually forgive yourself. And again, like I was saying, normally as we talk, saying forgiving yourself and forgiving the other person is like, oh, so there's that separation, there's the other, and then there's you. But there is nothing like that. In reality, forgiving me forgiving myself, I already forgive the other person. Why? Because we are one. So if I forgive myself, I've done it all. So, but then just so that we can get on it, like, oh, on a practical level, because, well, it's like, okay, I forgive me and then I forgive you. But I've already done it already when I forgive myself because we are one thing, you know? Yeah. So that is how you can actually allow yourself to really realize it and actually sustain the idea that we are one, which is actually the truth. And the other thing that we have to forgive is actually situations and things that happened in life which we cannot control, and allow them to be and realize that whatever that has happened in the past has no power right now in the present. It happened right there, maybe 5 days ago, 25 years ago, 155 years ago. But right now, is it happening? No. So why am I still really carrying it as if it is still happening? Forgive it, allow it to be, and move on, move through it, and just be joyous. And this is the thing, like I said, if we are able to really realize that it was never personal, then we would be able to really see that there's actually one of us here and treat each other with kindness and obey the third law of motion, which in the Eastern I think they call the Kama Yoga or the Kamic action, saying that what you do, Kama is a bitch, she's gonna make you pay for it. Yeah, that is actually what happens. It is actually true, yeah. But the surprising thing with this is that we actually know this. We know it. It's just that we have to be reminded of it. We forgot that which we once knew. So like I said, I'm using this podcast to actually just remind us that or remind us of that which we once knew. I'm here to remind us of that which we forgot. And one thing that we forgot is that we are one. So with this podcast, I hope that I'm I'm helping you really remember it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, we are one. There's only one of us here, hurting me, hurting you. It's an illusion because if I hurt you, I ultimately hurt myself. But my ego actually makes me believe that hurting you has nothing to do with me hurting myself. Yeah. So that is what I had for you today. The concept of we are one thing. We are one. Be kind and always remember that karma is a bitch. And always remember that it is very, very important to forgive. First of all, yourself, because if you cannot forgive yourself, it means that within you, you do not have that capacity to forgive. So how do you really expect yourself to forgive another person? It just cannot happen. No, it cannot. So you have to forgive yourself so that you can extend that forgiveness from yourself to another person, which is again paradoxical because like I said, we are only one. So forgiving yourself, you ultimately have already forgiven another person because we are one thing. We are not separate, you know. So that is that which I had for you guys today. Like, subscribe, comment on the comment section. Tell me how you would think about this and just, have fun. I love you so much and bye. Oh my god, I think maybe some people got very angry about that. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Why?